Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to make the Wendy dress. The Wendy dress is actually one of my old patterns. I made it a couple of years ago, but I wasn't 100% satisfied with myself. I knew that there were some parts that could be better, I just never really took the time to make them. But this year I took it, and now we have a new version of the Wendy dress that I'm going to show you how to make. In this video, we will see how to cut your pattern pieces, how to prepare them, and how to actually sew your dress. But before that, just one small piece of information. This is the new version of the Wendy dress. To make sure that you have the new version and not the old version, look at the pattern pieces of the bust part and check if you have darts. If you have darts on your pattern pieces, it is the new version. If you don't have them, it's probably mean that you download the old version, maybe before I changed the pattern, and so you bought it a couple of weeks ago, months ago. So you can just go back on Etsy and download the pattern once again. Now everything is said, we can start sewing. Let's go. Once you cut everything, you should have one piece for the back, two pieces for the front, 3 ruffles of 10 centimeters and 3 ruffles of 8 centimeters. Then you have 2 belts that you cut on the grain line, and then 3 bias tape. First step is going to sew the belts. So you're going to have to do the same thing for the 2 belts. With your iron, you're going to fold it in half, then you're going to fold the edges inward, then you're going to fold it in half again, and now you're going to finish one of the ends. Unfold everything except one edge. Fold the end toward 1 centimeter. Take the already folded edge and keep folding it along the center crease. Take the unfolded edge and fold it over, tucking it into the crease. Top stitch along the edge about 2 mm from the edge. Step 2, we're going to tackle the ruffles. First, check if the size of your ruffle is the same as your different piece for the dress. So 1 ruffle for the back, 1 for the first front, and 1 for the other fronts. Now we're going to sew the back ruffle with 2 front ruffles. So it's going to be front, back, and front for the 8 centimeters one, and then for the 10 centimeters one. To sew the ruffle together, I decided to use a French seam. So you're going to place the 2 hands wrong sides together. You're going to sew at 5 mm from the edge, cut the similar ones quite short, turn the ruffles right sides together this time, press everything with your iron, and then you're going to sew 5 mm from the edge. Press everything once again, and then you should have a good looking finish for your different ruffle. Next, you will have to finish the hem of the ruffle. To finish the hem, you have a bunch of different options. First, for example, you can do it with your serger. Make what is called a rolled hem. Usually you have on your machine instruction how to do it, or you can check on YouTube, you have a lot of video about that. If you want to see how it looks, you can check my video on the Emma dress, because I did all of the ruffle of the dress with this technique. If you don't have a serger or you don't want to use your serger, you can use your sewing machine and use a hemming foot. If you don't have a hemming foot, you can still do it with your sewing machine, doing a zigzag stitch along all the edges. And lastly, you can do the method that I use today, which is the baby hem method. It can be a bit more difficult because everything is rounded, so it can look a bit off depending on the fabric that you chose, but you can try. In any case, definitely try on a curved edges at some point, just to check if the result is what you want and that you can do this method for everything. For the baby hem method, you're going to press your hem toward the wrong side of the fabric for about 5 mm. Then you're going to sew very close to the fold that you just did. Cut the similar ones very close from the seam again. Then you're going to fold it again towards the wrong side of the fabric. So you're going to press everything and then you're going to sew to secure that. Finally, for the ruffle, you're going to finish the two ends of the 10 centimeters and then the 8 centimeters rows, fold them 5 millimeter to the wrong side of the fabric, then you fold them again on 5 millimeter, you press the fold, you sew to secure everything, and then you have your ruffle done. The third step is going to make the dress. So you take the two fronts and you sew the darts and you press them downwards. Then you're going to finish every side of your dress with a zigzag stitch or serger stitch. Then you place the back and the front pieces right sides together. For your left side, you're going to sew a regular seam, so from the top to the bottom. But then for the right side, you're going to have to leave a 1 centimeter opening at the waist that's going to be used for the belt when you're going to wear the dress. Then you press all your seam allowance open, and then you can sew the shoulder seams. So right sides together, you sew them, and then you finish the seam allowance with a serger or zigzag stitch. The fourth step is going to sew the ruffles onto the dress. First, the 8 centimeters ruffle, you're going to place them right sides together with the dress. Make sure to leave 1 centimeter at the beginning and at the end of each ruffle. Then you place the 10 centimeter ruffles on top of the 8 centimeter. So you're going to have the right side of the 10 centimeters one on the wrong side of the 8 centimeters one. You sew them together, you finish the seam with a zigzag stitch or with a serger, and then you can press the seam allowance toward the dress, and then you can do a top stitch to secure the seam allowance to the dress. The fifth step is going to finish the neckline. First, you're going to take the unfinished ends of the belts, and then you're going to place them on top of the dress right sides together, and you're going to secure them with a stitch. To finish the neckline, I decided to go for a bias tape technique. If you don't want to use that and you prefer to just do a classic hem, or you want to do a facing, you can do that. It really depends on what you want. For the bias tape technique, I gave you the pattern for them. The only thing is I decided for my dress to make the bias tape thinner than what I gave you. So usually a bias tape are like in my pattern, so 4 centimeter wide, but I decided to do a 2.5, I think, because I wanted to have a really thin finished. No matter what, the technique that I'm going to show you works for the one that I gave you on the pattern or for the one that's going to be more thin, like the one I have. First thing, you're going to prepare your bias binding by folding them in half. You're going to fold the edges inward, and then you're going to fold the bias tape in half again. Place the bias tape right sides together onto your neckline, and then you're going to sew at about 1 centimeter from the edge. Cut the seam allowance quite short, and you're going to let the bias tape fold itself again to the inside of the dress. So because you prepare with your iron the bias tape before, it will be really easy. Then you're going to sew to secure everything. Step, and the last one is going to finish the armhole. So you will do the exact same method that you just did for the neckline, but this time for the armhole. If you want to do the bias step, you follow the technique. If you want to do something else, you can. Not only I lost the footage for the last part of the video, the armhole, I also forgot to film an outro, so here I am. I hope the video helped you make the Wendy dress. If you have any more question or issue with the pattern and how to make the dress, don't hesitate to contact me on Etsy and I will help you. Bye!